Good morning, everyone. I hope I am audible to you all. This is Dr. Asha Dhiman, and today again we are going to introduce law with you people. And I'm aware that you have already gone through one lecture on introduction to law. So please confirm if I'm audible to you. Okay, so last day you people have introduced yourself to the house. So I want 10 people to introduce today as well. So you are supposed to tell your names and the course you have been taken admission into, and also the reason why you have chosen the degree of law. Okay, so I request you to raise your hands so that I can let you in the room and you can uh, tell about yourself to all the audience present with us. So first of all, I am letting Mr. Ayush to enter the room and have interaction with us. I hope everybody knows that when you people raise your hand to speak or you request to speak, then I am able to let you people enter in the room where I am. Okay, so they will ask you, like, when I'll let you in, the software itself will ask you to take a test regarding your audio and video. So you are required to take that test, and then only you can enter the room. So Ayush has joined the room. I just hope we'll be able to see him on the screen. Yeah, he's with us. Ayush, your camera.
Ma'am, I think it's on. 1 second.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
Yeah. Hello, Ayush. How are you?
How are you?
Good morning, ma'am. My name is Ayush Pandey, and I have opted for BA LLB.
Okay.
Okay.
And the reason
And
for
the
opting
reason
the
for
course?
opting the course?
Ma'am, I was inclined towards law since a few months ago,
Okay.
and I want this. I want to implement. See, in this country, there are various kinds of law, but they are not being implemented correctly. So I want them to get implemented.
Like,
Like,
what kind of
what
laws
kind
do you
of
think
laws
are
do you
not
think are not
implemented?
implemented?
मैम there are a lot of law if you मैम जैसे बहुत ही सारे लॉज हैं यहाँ पे जो ढंग से इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं होते जैसे लोग ट्रैफिक सिग्नल ही तोड़ते हैं अगर हम देखें तो
So,
So,
our law
our
or
law or
the legislative law
legislative
or
law
the
or the
executive law?
executive
What do you
law?
think?
What do you think?
I think every kind of law has problem.
No, I'm not
No, I'm
talking
not
about
talking
law. I'm
about
talking
law.
about
I'm
the
talking
flaw.
about the flaw.
Oh, flaw. I think the main reason is the laws are not implemented
The
and
execution is the
executed
problem,
properly.
The
right?
execution is the problem,
Yes,
right?
ma'am. Yes, I think so.
Okay. We'll come to this
Okay,
point
okay.
later
We'll
on,
come to this
Ayush.
point later on, Ayush.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
Any other thing
joining
you
us.
want to
Any
share?
other thing you want to share?
No, ma'am. I think I've done.
Okay, thank you. It's nice
Okay,
meeting
thank you.
you.
It's nice meeting you.
Welcome, ma'am.
So
Next, I'm
next,
letting
I'm letting
Rupanshi enter the room.
Rupanshi enter the room.
We'll be able to see Rupanshi in next 1 minute or two. So till Rupanshi enters the room, I would like to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Ashu Deman, and I'm assistant professor at Geetha International Business School, and I teach family law and criminal law. I think there is problem with Rupanshi entering the room, so I'm letting Sankalp to enter the room first. Rupanshi, I'll let you enter later on. I just hope you are taking all the tests the webinar jam is asking you to take. Sankalp is also not able to come. I'm trying to let in Samriti. See, I'm repeating the way you can enter the room. You are required to request to speak, then I'll let you in, and you will have to take the test the software is going to ask you, okay, regarding audio and video. After taking the test, you will be able to enter the room. Any other person, please request to speak. The students who are unable to enter, okay, Sankalp has joined the room. That is good. Sankalp, we will be able to see Sankalp very soon. Now, Sankalp, please turn on your camera.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Sankalp. I'm not able to see you.
1 minute, ma'am.
The camera is on, but we are not able to see you, Sankalp. Sankalp, turn on your camera and introduce yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So Sankalp has left the room and I'm letting Rupanshi enter the room. Sankalp is there with us. Samriti has joined the room. Hello, Samriti. Hello, Shania. Please turn on your camera and introduce yourself.
Good morning, ma'am. I'm Shania Walia, and I have applied for the BBA LLB course. And I chose law because I feel that a lawyer is there with people in their worst phase, and I really want to help people out when they are going through such lows in their life. And I also want to implement LGBTQ rights as well as animal rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Shania.
Okay.
And letting other people, you may leave. Thank you so much.
Okay, ma'am.
I think other people are not able to enter the room, so let us start the session. I'm going to share some slides with you. Okay, Vanshika Garg is with us. Vanshika, please turn on your camera and introduce yourself. Vanshika, can you please turn on your camera? You can see it on the top of your screen. There are two buttons. Yeah. You need to turn on your audio as well.
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, Vanshika, we can hear you.
Good morning, ma'am and everyone. I'm Anshika Garg and I have done my schooling from Bal Bharti Pitampura. And currently I'm pursuing BBLLB in Nita.
Okay, and the reason for choosing the course?
Ma'am, I think it has a lot of growth opportunities and I am very interested in learning law because, ma'am, I have an interest in politics. So I'm pursuing law.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So I'm giving the chance to Sankalp and Rupanshi, and after that we'll be able to start the session. I think they are facing problem in entering, so let us start the session and we'll take their introduction later on. I hope you are able to see my screen. So we are going to talk about law again, and I'm aware that you people are already aware about the definition of law, and it has already been introduced by. Okay, Sankalp has joined, so let us get introduced with him. Sankalp, please turn on your camera and introduce yourself.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Sankalp. Yeah, introduce yourself, Peter.
Yeah, myself Sankalp Sanjil. I am from Champaran, Bihar.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. And what is the reason that you have chosen law? You are doing BA LLB or BBA LLB?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello, Sankalp. So you are pursuing BA
Yes.
LLB or BBA LLB with us?
I am pursuing BA LLB.
BA LLB. Okay. And the reason for choosing
Yes,
the course?
Yeah, there are many reasons. Firstly, I have interest in politics, and I am following Mukul Rohtagi and Prashant Bhushan from years.
Okay.
And the third reason is that contempt of court proceeding against Mahatma Gandhi began in this Champaran.
Okay.
Champaran, as he started the Satyagraha in Champaran. So when I read his autobiography, that influenced me to join this course.
Very good. Very valid and nice reason to hear. Thank you, Sankalp. Thank you
Thank
for
you, ma'am.
joining us. So let us start the session. And
Thank you.
again, thank you
Yeah,
so
ma'am.
much.
Thank you, ma'am.
So coming to the presentation, we are going to talk about law, and I want to tell you that law is. I'm not going to give you a bookish definition of law given by Austin, Salmon, and any other person. I'm going to tell you that what the power law is, because I have named it law. Let us know the power. So we need to know the power behind the three alphabets LAW. So whenever we go through a day-to-day life, what we see that actually we are surrounded with a number of rules. Let's start from the morning. We are getting up and we are going to take our toothbrush and we are brushing our teeth. If we are not going to have our toothbrush, then what will be the consequences? So we are afraid of the consequences. Even if we talk about a normal routine, we are actually afraid of the consequences. If we are not going to put perfume on our body, then we are going to stink, right? So always we are actually carrying a fear behind us. Fine. So whatever act we are doing, whatever thing we are doing in a regular, in a routine, that means we are actually following some rules. And because there is some sort of threat, there is some sort of fear in our mind. That is why we are following those kind of rules. So just imagine the power of law, which is actually regulating the society. Just imagine the power the law holds with itself, because it is the set of rules. We are having the rules with us because we are following them. We are supposed to follow them because we are the part of a civilized society. So we are not allowed to kill a person. We are not allowed to hurt a person, not even a human, and we are not allowed to jump a traffic light even. Why? Because we can jump a traffic light very easily, but we are not jumping because we know that there are cameras which will see us, and definitely there will be a challan, the huge challan we'll get. Then definitely we are having a threat, a fear. That means the law has that power to create a threat in our minds, right? So as we all know that law is something which is man-made. Law is, in earlier times, in primitive era, basically it was that there were rulers, there were kings who used to implement laws. They used to make their own laws and they used to get them implemented. But now I am saying that law is man-made. That means from the beginning, from the primitive society itself, law, the rules, how the society is going to be regulated are made by people themselves, even today and even in primitive society itself. Now, if you see the slide in front of you, you'll find that I have written some very minimal facts about law, which are actually telling you the power of law. Firstly, that it changes over time to accommodate society's needs. That means law is not, you cannot keep the law in watertight compartments at all. It keeps on changing. As one of our students who entered the room, and she said that she is going to get LGBT rights get implemented in a very effective manner. That means earlier, when there were no rights related to LGBTs, the society was running, but the need of the society was to create laws for those people who are suffering. So how the society is getting up, the laws are also getting up. That means the development in society, the development in imagination of human being is developing the society, and that development in society is developing the laws. So man himself is imagining and himself is accommodating society's need, and the law itself is changing. So law is made by legislature, and I'm aware that every student knows that law is made by legislature now. And law is interpreted by courts to determine whether it is constitutional, and secondly, who is right or wrong. Basically, it is the question, that who is right or wrong and whether the law made by the legislature is constitutional or not. And I'm aware that every student knows that the constitution is the main norm, the supreme power of our nation, the constitutional law. It regulates all the other laws. And if any other law is proved to be unconstitutional, that cannot stand for it. So there is a process which must be followed. That is called procedure law. So, you know, the law is going to tell us our rights. I'm not saying that they are only the set of rules. Law are going to tell us our rights, our privileges, and whatever wrong we are going to do, they are inflicting penalty on us. As in the beginning of the lecture, I have told you that a law is something which is actually carrying fear, a threat behind it. So that is why people are following law. This is a very not a very unique thing to know. It is very common. Everybody knows that law is carrying threat with itself. That is why we are following law. Just making a rule doesn't let us, us to follow that rule. When a rule becomes law, that means there is a penalty behind it. So when there is a penalty, there is a punishment. That means there is a threat behind it, and we are going to follow it. So when we say that there is substantive law or procedural law, so the law is actually, law runs in two ways. First is substantive law, which provides us the rights, and the procedural law, which is telling us the procedure in which you can get your rights enforced. You can claim your rights. Now, Thomas Jefferson said the study of law qualifies a man to be useful to himself, to his neighbors, and the public. Now, why Thomas Jefferson said this? Basically, he wanted to say that the man, when start following laws, study the laws, then he becomes useful to himself, because he becomes more civilized, because he knows what is right and what is wrong for himself and for others. And definitely, when you are going to study law, you will be useful to yourself and your neighbors and to the public, because you know the law and you are going to help them. Fine. So as one of the students has told us that she is going to help other people who are suffering. So definitely we are useful to ourselves and our neighbors and to the public. Now, last day, you people were told about the definition of law from various the jurists or various philosophers as well. So I want you to write in the chat box, what is your definition of law after going through that, and after your own knowledge, what is the definition, what must be the definition of law? Please write down in the chat box. Okay, Vagartha has to say that law is a science. Radhika said maximum gain and minimum pain. Okay. Samriti has to say following the legal action is law. And Sankalp is saying that any rule or duty is law. According to Gaurav, law is nothing but common sense and logic. Isha Verma says law is a set of rules. According to Vanshika, a system of rules for a particular country. Okay. Shivu says law is the study of basic principles that can be applied for the benefits of the individual and the society. Shivu, you can add this too. And Prerna has said that rules and regulations for the society. This is right. And Manisha has to say the basic rules and regulations that are implemented for the benefit of public in general. Okay. Kashish said law can be defined as legal obligation to follow the rules. Good. Tanish Sharma, a set of rules and rights created by legislature for the well-being of people. Definitely, Tanish, you are right. The Darkor has to say that set of rules which give more pleasure and mere pain. Okay. Ayush has to say that law is the outcome of two opposite ideologies. Okay, Ayush, I want to know, how do you think so? Rupanshi, law is a set of rules and regulation made for governing and governed ones in a given society at a given time period. It's both science and social science as it grows and develops with ever-changing needs of the society. Rupanshi, this is somehow a taken up definition of law, and my question was, what is your own definition of law? Vinayak Bansal said, set of rules that are enforced for the sake of people, right? Law is all about rules and regulations, Kanika has to say. According to Muskan Gupta, law is all about defining a correct procedure. Muskan, I would like to know more about it, the way you think. Kamal said law is set of rules made by legislation for the betterment of large part of society. Somehow it is right. Nirbhaya, to learn about rule. Nirbhaya Kumar has to say, to learn about rule is law. It is somehow vague, you can say. Khushi Sharma said law is betterment for the people. Betterment in terms of, it is somehow unclear. Isha said general conscious awareness of people. Again unclear. Okay, Kabir has to say that law is rule of conduct developed by government. Okay, rule of conduct developed by government. Garv said rules and regulations for the society. Right? This is very simple to say. Ekam, a rule defining the correct procedure. Procedure related to what, Ekam? Ritik said the system of rules which a particular country or community recognizes as regulating the action of its members and which it may enforce by the imposition of penalties, right, Ritik? Bittu has said maximum happiness to society, minimum pain. Simple. He wants to say that there is maximum happiness to society and there is minimum pain, and that is simple definition according to Bittu. Okay. So Guneet said that law is a legal science. One has to understand. You are right. Tina Kapoor said law is the purpose to keep the security and peace to the society and also do social work. Social work as in? Okay, so that is saying law is basically art and science. Now Siddharth wants to say that it is the blend of art and science. Somehow it is right, but what kind of science if we ask Siddharth? Anyways, Ayush says, so that no conflict occurs between people who believe in different ideologies. Ayush, this is somehow a unique definition you have created. Okay, Nikshay said rules that make us follow the correct procedure. Procedure in what terms you want to say, Nikshay? Isha said law is the study of basic principle. Basic principle as in you want to say that it is the study of moral principles, moral values. This is what I am getting from this point. Rishabh said law is the set of rules that are implemented for a systematic and ethical society. It is also made to fulfill the need of society in betterment of society. Yeah, you are right. Avni Sharma said law is made for protecting the society. That is absolute truth about law. This is the best thing you have mentioned, Avni. This is made for protecting the society itself from the people of society itself. And Diksha said law is all about the rules and regulation which we have to follow to live in a society. Okay, right? Somehow it's right, Diksha. Muskan said if we follow with rules and regulations, then it can lead to a correct path. But it somehow is not telling me the definition of law. Rupanshi says it's not at all a taken up definition. I answered what you asked. I right now wrote it only according to my perspective. Right, and Rupanshi, definitely it is a very good perspective if you haven't taken it up. I'm impressed. Ekam says rules and regulation. Rakshit says law is nothing but common sense. Again. Okay, Sakshi has to say that law is a system of rules created and enforced through social or governmental institutions. Okay, I would like to tell you something. Like Sakshi has took up something really interesting because she has said that law is a system of rules created and enforced through social or governmental institutions. You're right somehow. Actually, it is going three-tier, a three-way implementation if we talk about it. Like it is the duty of legislature, if you see, to create laws. Legislature is the one who creates laws. And then there comes executive. Executive is the one who enforces the laws, who let the laws get enforced on the society. Legislature creates, executive enforces, and judiciary imposes the law. It protects the law. It protects the people as well. So there are three parts which are dealing with law: legislature, executive, and judiciary. And definitely, as one of our friends, Sakshi, has said, that law is a system of rules created and enforced through social or governmental institutions. This is somehow very right. Ria said, when law is taken up as a profession, two lawyers argue, interject, and provide justice to their client. Yes, Ria, you are right. Turning black to white and vice versa. Now, this is something different to read about the definition of law, and I would like Ria to explain this if she wants to enter the room to explain whatever she has said, like turning black to white and vice versa. So I would like to know from Ria what exactly she means. So she may raise her hand to speak so that I can let her in the room. I would like to know it from her. Ria. Ekam again has quoted law is a system that government develops in order to deal with crime, torts, etc. Yeah, you are right. There are various, branches to law. It is not right to say that there is only one sort of law which can be made. Ekam is really right to say that definitely law is such a system which is being developed to deal with different branches of law, because it is criminal law, it is family law, it is torts, it is again contract, and there are n number of laws. So there are different branches of laws, and it is such a wide, vast area to research upon. So there cannot be actually a particular definition to it, because it is holding n number of things into it. Now, Sahaj has said that law is something which tells us about our rights and the rules that are to be followed. Yeah, right. You are right. Aryan said laws are made for proper working of society and maintaining peace. Yes, Aryan, this is truth. Isha is also of the view that laws are made for the betterment of society. Vagrata has said the full development of universal aspect of human nature, consciousness to promote right action. Somehow very right, Vagrata. Sankalp said the set of rules made an ideal society or to run any organization swiftly and smoothly. Yeah, but when we talk about laws for society, then okay, you have added organizations as well. So I'm taking it like you want to say that you are talking about rules, Sankalp, for the purpose of organization itself. And Ayushi wants to say that system of rules basically implemented for upliftment of our society's needs, right? Yes, good morning. Now there is Lipika Rao with us, and she's saying some rules and regulations that are made and developed by government for the betterment of our society. Okay, Samriti said following legal actions made by government. I want an explanation on it, Samriti. Bittu again has sent a text regarding the definition of law. Bittu is so much interested in definition of law. Bittu, thank you so much. Law is concerned with the allocation of responsibility, and you will from time to time need to argue with others about their responsibilities as well as about yours. Yeah, right. It is actually it is related to allocation of responsibility, because Bittu, you are right, Beta, because it is somehow give and take thing. Like if there is, I have a right and I have a right to get my right enforced, right? And my right and your right. And if you have a right and you have again a right to get your right enforced, right? And then again, it is give and take. Like if I have a right, my right is your duty. So you are supposed to maintain my right. It is your responsibility that you do not infringe my right, right? And vice versa. Your right is my duty. So it is, yes, absolutely, I agree with your point, Bittu, that law is concerned with the allocation of responsibility, because definitely the responsibility is not about the other things, but about the rights of others. Fine. So you should be aware that there are laws. If we are going to infringe the rights of others, the laws are there to threaten us. So I strongly agree with the point of view of Bittu. Rohan said, law is a word given to a set of rules to make people act sensibly. Yeah, right, Rohan, agreed. Ria said, no, it's like what I have heard from people putting up your arguments where you might be wrong, but have to mold that and present it in a different way. Ria, this thing is going in another way. Like we were not talking about holding a profession, the purpose of holding the profession. So somehow the people who have told this are right if we talk about it in practical sense. But right now we wanted to know the definition of law according to you. What do you think? Being in a profession and being molding things according to you is a different thing. This actually goes. This is called the part and parcel of the profession. So here we are not talking about the profession itself. We are talking about the law. We are talking about the rules which enforce us to follow them. Okay, Shania Walia has to say, law is the body which provides the suffering justice so as to ensure the society feels protected and safe. Right. Siddharth said, the law written on paper is an art and science is practical when everyone has to do and follow. I like it, Siddharth, very good. Kanika has said, laws are made to maintain discipline in the country. This is right. Ayush said, something which creates mutual understanding among every citizen law. So to create mutual understanding according to Ayush, yes, as we have said that my right is your duty and your right is my duty. So it definitely creates a sense of mutual understanding among people. Then comes Karan Singh Lamba, who is saying that law is made so that one person cannot take advantage of other person. Okay, good. Then Devanshu Jain said that law is nothing but a set of rules made by government for the betterment of nation. We agree with this point. Radhika, law is a medium through which society can live peacefully and get justice for themselves. Yes. Yashika is the last person to write the definition of law, and she's saying the law is an official rule for people that what people may or may not do, right? Absolutely, Rashika. We actually originally, if we go through all this definition wrought by all the students, and I'm really very impressed from the class that they are actually aware. They know what law is. They actually got the points which they need to know. Even Samriti has written something that following the legal action is our responsibility. Made by government means whatever written in Constitution, right? Isha said law is a broad concept which cannot be described in one word or one phrase. And this is really, Isha, this is really the gist of the story. I was going to end it when I was actually, I asked you people to write down all the definitions, what you think. And this was the gist of the story, Isha, which you have concluded. And I'm really impressed that you have said that it is a broad concept which cannot be described in one word or one phrase. And I'm definitely impressed by this point, Isha. And you know what, everyone, this is, if you put n number of dollars, or if you take n number of years, you'll not be able to give a proper definition of law. It wasn't possible from anyone because it is such a broad concept that to define it, to take all the things in its ambit, is not possible to create a definition, and you cannot say that any of the definition is fulfilling the very purpose the law holds. So If we say that Austin has to say that law is the command of superior to an inferior, so you cannot say that this is true, this is truth in itself, because it is somehow is providing us that particular sovereignty of a particular person and not the nation. So definitely we cannot say it to be a very good definition, or I'm not saying that it is not a good definition, but it is not carrying everything in itself. So we cannot define law. It is really a broad concept. So I have concluded, as Isha has concluded, and it is even after years and thousands of dollars, law still is not easy to define. So again, after coming out of all these definitions, one actually comes out with this thing that it actually governs the human behavior. As I started, that whatever rules are, if they are carrying a threat, a penalty, a fear of following them, of obeying them, then definitely they comes under the ambit of law, because people are going to follow these laws only then there will be a threat. So if there will be a threat, that means the law actually says or actually governs the behavior of human. Do you think we would have been civilized if there will be no law or there will be no rules? We can't think that we are actually civilized if there is no law at all. So most people would argue that the law governs human behavior by rules. It forbids certain way of behaving, for instance, stealing, killing, or exceeding speed limits, and prescribes others. For example, paying taxes or driving on the right lane. Legal rules are also called norms. We call them norms as well. So before going further, we want to discuss, I want to talk to you about the matter that what do you think the morality is? Are you aware of the term morality, or we use the words moral values? If you are aware, please write it down in the chat box. I would like to know if the students are aware of the moral values, what morality is. And I want to tell you how it is connected to law. Rupanshi, you're right that morality means the ethics and beliefs of a particular society. Can anybody quote an example of morality? Any example? Do you think morality itself has some threat? Radhika, you are very right that moral values cannot be separated from law. It goes hand in hand. Absolutely right, Radhika. Isha says that they are unwritten rules. Guneet said Hindu laws. Agni said anything that is of strong belief. Riya is saying that norms and values. Morality is something which we all owe. It is written by Didar Kaur. Samriti is saying morality is something which we all owe. Okay, sorry. Morality is obeying the law in an ethical manner. Okay, Guneet said Muslim laws are type of morality. Okay, you are saying that personal laws are morality. Okay. Principles concerning what is good and bad, Anurag has said. Gaurav said values. It is vague, Gaurav. Which kind of values? Ritik said both law and morality make difference between right and wrong. Isha Verma, laws are generally based on moral principles of society. Urmi said morality is different from legal obligation in the sense that sometimes our morality may prevent us from stopping a murderer from killing someone, but we are legally obliged to report it later as a witness. Okay. The moral value of every citizen is to not to break the law. Ethics can be sometimes threat to law, right? Morality is also threat sometimes. Okay, Bittu has to say, when your attitude becomes as simple as society wants from you. The distinction between right and wrong. Okay, so I'm feeling from all these comments coming on the meaning of morality. So I am able to understand that students are well aware of the morality itself, the moral values. So I want to know one thing from you. I'm going to give an example. Okay, there is an example from Sankalp. Sankalp said, respecting the right of others, if I'm not wrong, because there is some spelling error. Respecting the right of others is morality. And for example, triple talaq, in spite of part of Muslim religion, but the respected decision of Supreme Court is best example of morality. Okay, Sankalp. Siddharth said morality basically means where what is good or bad for someone. Laws are generally based on moral principles of society, according to Tanish. Yeah, this was the thing. Ritik and Tanish has concluded my whole thing. I wanted to say that they are saying that laws are generally based on moral principles of society, the quality of being in accord with standards of right or good conduct. Okay, I want to tell you one thing. Like if your mother is teaching from the beginning that we should not lie, हमें झूठ नहीं बोलना है, that is wrong. God is looking at us, and we are not actually supposed to lie. So in any case, you are not supposed to lie. Fine. So do you think it's a moral value? It's a ethical it has some ethical value which our mother has taught us, isn't it? Something may be morally wrong, but it will be legally correct. So they differ by a thin line. Very good, Urmi. I like it. You are absolutely right. Ayush said moral values are nothing but creating a social harmony and appreciating all the law-abiding citizens. Right. Morality and law goes hand in hand. Absolutely, Rupanshi. Not killing an animal is both a morality and a law. Right. So let me give an example to you. For example, there are 3 people in a boat and they are in the middle of the sea. Fine. Now they are stuck in the sea and they have nothing to eat. Now, what do? They kill one, 2 of them kill the third one, who was a kid who was of 16 years of age. They kill him and ate him. Do you think it was immoral or illegal? We are saying that moral values and law are going in hand. So do you think it was moral, it was legal or ethical to do so? To kill a person to save your life? It's unethical according to Ekam. You also need to write the reason for the matter. Whatever you are saying. Okay, Guneet said, depending on the situation. Okay. Necessity knows no law. Azad Abhinav Singh, I am impressed by this thing. Necessity knows no law. Very good. It can be taken as a defense. What does morality say? It is immoral, yeah. Yash said it was act of survival. It is correct according to law, but unethical according to society, because it is somehow going towards the exception itself. It is a case of necessity. Rohit is also of the view. It is not acceptable in any situation. Samriti has this point of view. See, on one particular example, all the people are having a different opinion. So this opinion matters. How it is implemented, how the law is taken up. Like one of the students was of the view that she has heard that it is such a profession that we can mold things according to ourselves, according to our beliefs, or according to our situations and circumstances. This is the thing. Now you have got an example. You have Okay, Kanksha has also given us the point, and even I was waiting for this because usually whenever I take this kind of example in the class, then students used to say that if they are in middle of the sea, they can eat fishes too. That is good. So see, we are having different opinions on a same example. So we can apply our minds and we can apply law accordingly, isn't it? Yeah, Ritika said we have right to self-defense from section 196 to 106 of IPC. Yes, Ritika, I agree with you, but right to private defense is something else. If I'm going to stab you, and if you can see that I'm running with a knife or I'm standing in front of you with a revolver or something like that, that you are having immediate threat. You are having an apprehension to immediate threat, then only you can ask for right to private defense. Then you can attack on me. But if I'm with you in a sea and we are in a same boat, so you are killing me, so you cannot say that it is right to self-defense. I'm not attacking you. You can't kill me. Ritik? Okay, so we have come through that according to all of us, morality is something which the society gives us, and definitely law and morality go hand in hand. But that is also true that whatever is moral cannot be legal, and whatever is legal may not be moral. Siddharth said it is both illegal as well as eating, because killing is a crime which is illegal, and eating that destroys the morality of accused person's mind. Okay. Bittu said die for others. It is extreme morality to die for others, Bittu. Okay, Rhea has said, mens rea, intention is all that matters to make an act illegal. Absolutely right, Rhea. I agree with you. Absolutely right. Sankalp said it was immoral as taking right to life of other for survival cannot be justified. Okay. So Sankalp considered it to be immoral because the other person is also having a right to life, and you cannot survive yourself by killing that person. Sankalp has to say this. Nice. So we are concluding on the point regarding morality, that definitely morality is something which comes from society and which gives us values, and they are interlinked somehow. But definitely there may be situations, or there are exceptions, that when morality can differ from law and law may differ from morality. So there are two situations hand in hand. So as I discussed earlier, that laws are not only rules. They are not only rules, they are providing us rights as well. Okay, they are not only rules, they are not inflicting sanctions always. They are also providing us the rights. They are also protecting our rights, as many of the students have said in our chat when we were talking about the definition of law. Then many of the students have told us that it is actually law actually protects the society. Okay. Okay, Sankalp has said, ma'am, I have a president of Supreme Court of Britain, by the way. Yeah, I agree with your point, Sankalp. I'm not saying that you are wrong. I said you are right. I haven't said anybody wrong. See, I was saying, Sankalp, that there are perspectives, right? But taking one thing to be moral and same thing, another person can be take it as immoral. Fine. You can see the chat box itself, because the chat is going to everyone. So everybody can see that every person has a different opinion regarding this particular example itself. And if we talk about Britain's Supreme Court, we are talking about common law. So definitely it differs from ours. And Sankalp, I want to tell you one more thing regarding precedents, that precedents are of two nature. There are two things about precedents, which is binding precedents and not binding, which are persuasive in nature. And the precedent you are talking about is persuasive in nature because it is not, we can, consider it, but we are not bound to follow it. Right, Sankalp? So Supreme Court of India or any court in India can consider in such, if there is any case of same facts and circumstances, if we talk about President of Britain, Supreme Court of Britain. So definitely, we can see it, we can consider it as Supreme Court, but we are not bound to. Okay. So remember one thing, whenever we are going to quote any precedent in India, you should be aware that that precedent must be binding on us. Okay. Samriti, you want to introduce yourself? Okay, in between the lecture or at the end of it? We'll take you at the end of it. Okay, when I'm going to end, then you can come up. No problem. So as we have talked up in this slide, that laws does not stop at setting up rules. It also secures compliance with them by threatening persons who disregard a rule with some disadvantage, like being imprisoned or having to pay money. This consequence is called a sanction. So, you know, every time, like if we take example of criminal law itself. For example, you have committed murder. Now, committing murder is taking you towards two things. That you will be, definitely there are some procedures to follow, and there are basic principles which are called principles of natural justice. So if there is a blame, you are accused of murder, then you will be given a full chance to be heard by the court. The court is going to hear your points, your defenses, etc. But now the court is going to decide whether the crime you have been accused for, it is murder or culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Fine. And after that, court is going to suggest, if for example, you are now not accused and you have been convicted for, say, for murder. You have been convicted for murder itself. Now, the point here is, what will be then? Now, you haven't followed the rule made by the law. You haven't followed the rule. The rule was that you cannot kill anyone. And if you kill anyone, if you, for example, I'm just quoting a very simple thing for you. I'm not going to that complication of the section 302 murder. I'm just talking about that, like, you were supposed not to kill any person. You are not allowed to kill any person. Fine. Because every person has a right to live. So you cannot kill any other person. So if you kill any other person, then you will be punished under Indian Penal Code 1860. Now you will be punished, that the punishment, it has suggested that either you will go for life imprisonment or there will be a death penalty in case of rarest of rare cases. So now you see the law has set up the rule that you cannot kill anybody. Fine. It has also provided the procedure, the way in which you may be prosecuted. Okay. And it is also providing you that you are also having a right even after you are being accused of murder. Okay, you are having rights as well. Again, in that case also you are having right to defend yourself. You are defending yourself. For example, you are being convicted. Now there will be last thing, that will be sanction, that will be penalty. And that must be again such that it may be setting an example for the society. Now, we are preventing you from doing further crimes like murder by either putting you behind the bars for life or by killing you or by imposing death penalty on you. So there are two ways. Fine. So the first way is, for example, we are sanctioning or we are imposing life imprisonment on you. By imposing life imprisonment, what law is doing? Law is actually preventing you from committing other crimes like this, of this nature. So it is preventing as well as it is deterrent in nature, because other persons who are the member of the society, definitely they are deterred. The law has created a threat for those people by putting you behind the bars. So everyone who is of that mentality or who is thinking of committing murder of any person, who is holding a grudge against any person, so it will be an example for that person that I cannot do this because law does not want me to do this, and if I'm going to do this, law will put me behind the bars. And secondly, in second situation, if you get death penalty, if it is a rarest of rare case, so then also there will be a preventive thing and definitely a deterrent for the other persons of the society. So by getting imprisonment imposed, you will never do it again because you have got a life imprisonment for that matter. And secondly, if you have got death penalty, the other members of the society are going to learn. So you have come to conclusion that now you are aware the way the law works. So it is not only providing you the rule, it is also providing you with the procedure if you break the rules, and definitely if you break the rules, it is providing penalty as well. So definitely that penalty is enforced by the state. So again, there are, after going through all the definitions, all the things, all the discussions taken up, we came to the conclusion what law is. I'm going to read this slide for you. Laws are essentially a set of rules, but there are three main characteristics that make laws different from simple rules. What are those? Just simple rules. From simple rules, the law is different. Why? Laws are set of rules established and enforced by the government. I have already told you, the legislature itself make the laws and enforce in the form of executive. And laws are always mandatory to follow, and it involves consequences. So all the other rules, if we don't talk about laws, all the other rules may or may not hold any sort of consequences. But law itself holds consequences, which makes the society, the people of the society, to follow the laws. Now you can come to the conclusion that law is a system of control, set of rules through which society operates, that is, citizen must obey or suffer a penalty. It is going hand in hand. You have to follow them. If you are not following the rules, the laws, then definitely you are going to suffer a penalty. Law declares how we must behave and consists of those rules which are enforced through the legal system. So law is telling us the way we need to behave, the things we are required to do or not to do. Okay, there is a question from Shivu Khatri that how law involve consequences. See, Shivu, for example, I have quoted an example earlier as well. Consequences means the result. Whatever you are going to do. See, whenever we are going to do an act, whatever act or omission we are doing, if it is illegal, it will be illegal because if we are holding illegal intention behind it. Fine. So we are holding an illegal intention and it has been proved in the court of law, then court of law is going to impose some sanction on us, some penalty. If we are breaking the rules, definitely, if we are breaking the traffic rules, then the consequences will be that we'll have to pay the fine. So law involves consequences. Is it clear to Shivu? Please mention if it is clear to you. Okay, Ayush wants to say which rules do not involve consequences. See, always remember one thing, when we are studying law, we are of the view that there is nothing hard and fast. Ayush, I'm not saying that rules do not involve consequences, but rules do not involve the sanctions. Samriti, what if we do not have illegal intention? Definitely you are going towards exception itself, Samriti, if we are not having illegal intention. See, let us come to the point. If we are talking about intention itself, if we talk about crimes itself, so there are two things to note. That, for example, let us take a very short example. You were in the classroom and I have scolded you because I believe that you were making noise or you were doing something wrong. So I scolded you very hard, and then definitely you hold a grudge against me. And you hold a grudge and you have got a motive to hold a grudge. Fine. So the way you feel that I'll have to take revenge from ma'am, that she has insulted me in front of all the students. So what did you do? You took a knife and you thought of that ma'am is going to home and I'm going to stab her. Fine. So now there is intention because there is a motive behind it. Samriti, I hope you are understanding what the example I'm quoting. So you have an intention now because you are having a motive. You have created an intention to kill me. You have created an intention to stab me. Right? So now the intention itself is one thing, and second thing is the knowledge of the consequence of the act you are going to do. You have created an intention in mind. Jab tak it is in your mind, the thing is in your mind, there is nothing like crime. But when you have, sorry, you have the knowledge that whatever I am intending in my mind, the consequence of that will be that it may occur the death of the man. So there may be death, fine, or there may be a grievous hurt. So you have the knowledge as well. But this is what we are saying about illegal intention, that you are having illegal intention because you wanted to stab me. But in another case, you are not having any illegal intention. So when I scolded you, you shouted like anything, okay, and you hit on the in sudden provocation, you hit on the table, and there was something kept on the table which came directly on me and hit on my head. For example, there was something which was lying on the table and it came on my head and it struck my head, fine, and I have got an injury. Now you were not having illegal intention, Samriti. Okay, you were not having the intention ki you put that thing and stab me or do some act against me. So you were not having that intention. So illegal intention is something when you are holding something against another person and you want to do something against that person. Kashish is writing, non-strict liability is liable in such cases. Kashish, I want to know, what do you know about strict liability? Kashish, can you please write, what do you know about strict liability? I'm waiting for you to write it, then only I'll be able to make you clear. Now, law declares how we must behave and consists of those rules which are enforced through the legal system, particularly the courts. So I have told you that courts are going to regulate them. The system is more complex in reality as the rules are affected by social, economic, political, and international considerations. Ritik, you are saying that it is culpable homicide. It is some of a complex nature to decide what is murder and what is culpable homicide. Okay, so when you are coming physically here in the college and you will be taking crime classes, then only you will be able to know the difference between the two. So if we cannot elaborate it as such here. Okay, Ayush said, ma'am, please elaborate the definition of rule and how it is different from law. See, rule, Ayush, rule is something, it may be like for in an organization, there is a rule that you have to enter to the organization at 9 o'clock. Fine, and there is a biometric mentioned written there. There is a biometric and you have to punch there, and that is a rule that you'll have to punch before 9 o'clock. That is fine. Now, rule, it may be possible that if you are not coming at time, there will be a penalty on you. Fine, there will be a penalty. This is within the organization. So this is not the law of the organization, it is the rule of that organization, and there is a penalty as well. But law is something which is made for society itself. There may be other organizations which are not doing this thing, which are not following this norm. So that is a rule. Rule is something which is made within the society, within an organization, within an institution. They may be different from different people. Fine, but laws are something which are for everyone. Fine. So I hope this is clear to everyone now. Ayush, I was taking up your point itself. Okay, so there is no other question. Let us continue. A law recognizes casual link or principle whose violation must or should result in a penalty, a failure, injury, loss, or pain. These laws carry with them the power and authority of enactor and associated penalties for failure or refusal to obey. Law derives its legitimacy ultimately from universally accepted principles such as the essential justness of the rules or the sovereign power of a parliament to enact them. Right? So, the power of enacting the laws is with the parliament itself. Fine. Thank you, Ayush. I am obliged that you understood it. I hope everyone has understood, and it is a fruitful discussion if we have gone through. Now, question arises that what is in your mind now? You will have to imagine. I have put law in your mind, okay? Samriti, we are coming to you first, okay? Let's not take what is in your mind right now. Let us talk to Samriti. Samriti is asking if someone is drunk and he kill anyone in that point of time. So it is illegal intention or legal? Samriti, listen to me very carefully if you want to understand this thing. See, IPC talks about intoxication. Fine. It is saying that if somebody, I'm talking about the private defense itself, Ritik, it depends on your daily drinking capacity. No, don't write this kind of things. Samriti, see, when someone is drunk, fine. So the IPC, Indian Penal Code, is talking about that condition of a person's mind. So if you are drunk, you will have to prove, and you have committed a crime. Okay. Now you will have to prove that the intoxication was voluntary intoxication or involuntary intoxication. That means you have taken up liquor by your own will, or somebody has inflicted that on you. Somebody has imposed it on you by way of any other way. Like if he is, I think I need to clear Samriti first, then only I can go to other questions. So definitely there are two situations, that involuntary intoxication and voluntary intoxication. So if somebody has taken up intoxication by himself, by his will, so he will be treated by law as if he hasn't taken any drink. He was conscious. That means he will be punished. His intention will be treated as illegal intention. And if that person proves that there was involuntary intoxication, then definitely that person will come under the ambit of exceptions, the general exceptions provided under section 96 to 106 of the of the Indian Penal Code. So he will be coming under the exceptions. So Samriti, I think this point is clear to everyone. Okay, next Ritik's comment have been read by me. Shivu is saying also if he is voluntary or involuntary drunk. Yes, Shivu, we have already talked about it. Aryan said he is not in his senses. Yes, he is not in his senses, but the valid point, the legal reasoning, Aryan, is that that person has to prove that he was involuntarily drunk to take the defense. Okay, Vinayak has to say, ma'am, and maybe it also depends on how much he was drunk. Yes, after taking intoxication, after drinking a lot, like if we are drinking every day, then it will take us to the level of being unsound, right? So then again, we will be falling in that particular exception of unsoundness of mind, and we'll have to prove that too. Okay. So Vinayak has said, okay, Vinayak, how can we prove that? Samriti is asking, how can we prove that? So they want to learn IPC today only, right? Indian Penal Code abhi aaj hi seekhna hai hame, Samriti. There are many ways to prove it. Ritik, what if a drunk man have motive to kill someone? I think I need to take the session forward because they are very much interested in drunk men. Okay. So now let us take it forward. We'll be discussing in the crimes class. When you are coming to me for the crimes class, we are going to discuss it. Okay, fine. We are going to discuss everything. A crime class is always a very interesting class. So let us talk about the situation when there is no law in the society. So just imagine there is no law in the society. What will happen? The first thing coming into your mind that after listening to this, that there is no law in the society. Right? Oh, Bittu is saying, go to wood and see what's going on without knowing about the tribe. I didn't get your point. Any other one? Vagarta, hum? You're lawless? Ayush said honor killings. Yeah, right. They still are happening, right? Vinayak Bansal said infringement of our rights. Vinayak, when there will be no laws, there will be no rights, then how will there will be any infringement? Ekam said, I will kill the person who changes the pattern of flat. Ekam, no. Okay, Ritik said, again, powerful people will create their own kingdom. Absolutely right, Ritik. Muskan said, the world would be a dangerous place without rules. Absolutely right. It will be a dangerous place. And it was, it might have been a dangerous place earlier in primitive society. Ekam is with, okay, Azad is with the Ekam, okay. Prerna said, irregularity in the functioning of the society. Absolutely. Tina said, there is no control to society. Everyone do what he wants and there is no fear to anybody. Absolutely right. Okay, everyone is with Ekam, huh? Ekam is going to be a star. Okay, Gaurav said, all make their own rules according to their needs. Yeah, that is right. There will be our own rules. We'll be killing everyone. If we are having some grudge towards anyone, we are going to kill that person because we will not be having any sort of fear, you know. Smriti said, no one can live hardly few years peacefully. Okay, right. Ma'am, eventually from very long time, there were some kinds of practice of law. So ACC to me, okay, according to me, society rarely runs without laws. You are right, absolutely right, Shivu. Rupanshi said crime everywhere. There are already many people who are doing crimes even when there are laws. Yes, of course, the deterrent nature of the punishment is actually not being inflicted. You are right, absolutely right. Okay. A Total Chaos by Avni Sharma, right? Ayushi said crime, corruption, loss of fear among people and society will be deteriorated. Very right, very right. Ayushi, I agree. Ayush said no law is equal to Pakistan. Ayush, no. Aryan said we wouldn't be alive to imagine. Aryan, you are so, this is really interesting to note that we would not be alive to imagine. Absolutely. Somehow it is true. Radhika, world will become an uncivilized society. Right. Law is actually making us civilized. Law is the only thing which is making us civilized. Other developments are, simultaneous, but law is something which is holding us. Okay. Tanish Sharma said IT companies will use our personal data. Okay, Tanish, you are so insecure about your data itself. So Hani Jen said, ma'am, if there will be no law, then no one would think without doing anything. And everyone would be in danger and that won't be right. Absolutely. So Hani, some Bhavi said it will lead to freedom for some, horror for many. Absolutely. Kanika said people will be free to do anything. So it is positive or negative, Kanika? You'll be free to do anything. So it is sounding positive somehow. Okay, Tanish said, and rich people will be the gods of that time. True. Bit two, if law is not there, then there is society. Because there will be no society because we are not civilized, so we won't be a part of society itself, definitely. Sankalp said, evolution will start taking place retrospectively and maybe we become animals. Yeah, Sankalp, definitely. If we don't have law, we don't have society, and we are not civilized at all. Kamal said, world will become living hell. Guneet said, no law, no society. Rahul said, the innocent one gonna die without laws because the strong ones always dominate, right? No peace, only war. The survival of the fittest, jungle rule. Very right, Vagatha. Rohan said, nuclear war. Okay. Samriti said, even in today's life, we can call it a life without law. Is that so? It is a life without law. Because you're at home. Okay, Sakshi said there will be no more peace in the society, and I agree with Sakshi. Isha says law gives us some freedom and control too. Right. So that means, okay, Ayush said no love marriages. Kashish said no law will lead to dictatorship. Okay, people are at rich people means. Rahul said people start living like a video game. How? Manisha Sharma said, no law will be like losing a key of a lock. Okay. Yash said, no speeding challan. So Yash must be happy then. Samriti said, cause nobody is following it. Okay. And land would have been considered valid, Janya. Okay. Sakshi said, a place without any law and order could be dangerous for anyone as his or right can easily be violated. Yes, this is the gist of the story, that obviously if there will be no law, there will be no rights actually. Who is going to give you the rights if there will be no law? Law itself provides you with the rights and privileges, and it itself protects your rights and punishes the people who infringe your rights. So definitely Sakshi is also right that a place without any law and order could be dangerous for anyone. Okay, Shania, you nailed it. Okay, Azad, what's going on? No. So everybody is aware that what law is, and now you know what will happen if there will be no law. Nobody has said that we wouldn't have taken admission in this course and you wouldn't have been teaching us right now. Nobody has said this. Okay, Aaron is of the view, hell is the word for the society without law, right? That said, in law says drink and drive is itself a crime, and if the person is killing somebody deliberately or intentionally, still is itself a crime. Yeah, it is. Right. Siddharth. But we were talking about the situation, we were actually imagining the situation without law. So it was something we were discussing behind. Okay. So let us talk about the Indian legal system. So Indian legal system is something which is having a history, the important illustrious history. So law as a matter of great importance has an illustrious history in India. It was a fertile field enriched by practitioners from different Hindu philosophical schools and later by Jains and Buddhists. And you must be aware that there was a court system in Indian legal system for civil and criminal matters, and they were actually the essential feature of ruling dynasty of India. An excellent secular court system existed under Mauryas and Mughals, with the later giving way to current common law system. And I hope everybody is aware to the common law system. Now, talking about the history, with the advent of British Raj, everybody is aware that there was British Raj before. There were a break in tradition, and Hindu and Islamic law were abolished in favor of British common law. So as a result, the present judicial system of the country derives largely from British system and has few, if any, connections to Indian legal institution of a pre-British era. Shania Walia has joined the room. I don't know how. The Constitution of India came into force with effect from 26th of January 1950. It's the lengthiest written constitution in the world. Everybody must be aware of it. And it provides details of administration of both union and state and codifies the relation between federal government and state government. Ayush, you need not to make notes. That is fine. This is a discussion. It is your wish to make notes. Now, these slides are actually talking about all the Indian legal system we have. We have like from the British era or before that era, we were talking about Mughals, etc. So the India has actually witnessed a very civilized, very good legal system. We talk about Hindu period, Muslim period in India. And after that, when the Britishers came, they actually took up their own common laws. And after that, obviously, India itself has made its constitution. And after coming of the constitution, all the laws were there which have emerged, and there were amendments in all the existing laws. So the Indian legal system is basically formulated bearing in the mind the diversity of the diverse nature of the countries, because we are the country who is respecting all the religions. It is secular in nature. So due to the respect to religion, custom and tradition of people, that is why Indian legal system has bear in mind the diversity of the country itself. So during the drafting of the Indian Constitution, they have taken the laws from Ireland, United States, whichever laws were actually suitable for us. They were taken up by the framers of the Indian Constitution. So after going through the fact, after going through the situation or imagining the thing that what will happen if there will be no law. So definitely we actually come to the conclusion that why we need the law, right? So everybody has told me what will happen if there will be no law. So why we need the law, it is itself coming from that imagination itself. Laws are required in society to regulate the behavior of individuals, to correspond with what is acceptable to the majority of individuals. Without law, life and business would become a matter of survival, and not only of the fittest, but also for most ruthless. Law is the potential tool of social change. In fact, law and society are complementary. No society can exist without law. This was actually the conclusion every student has quoted, that there is no possibility of society without law. Now, it is essential for keeping peace in society, establish rules, protect rights and freedoms, protect society, and resolve disputes. That is why there is a need of law. Now, the question arises from where the law comes. It doesn't come by itself. There are some things which make the laws. There are some sources which take them up. So you can see the sources on the screen. When we talk about sources of Indian law, firstly we talk about religion, custom. When we see that there is actually, when we talk about criminal law itself, that is uniform for Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Sikhs, Buddhists, etc. But when we talk about personal laws, when we talk about civil laws, there is no uniform civil code as such. So we are respecting the religion, and religion is giving us the laws. For example, Hindu Marriage Act. It is based on the principles of Hinduism. Like if we are having a rule that the bride and the groom in Hindu marriage has to take 7 rounds across the holy fire, that is called Saptapadi. So they'll have to, do for the solemnization, for the purpose of solemnization of that marriage. So those rules made by Hinduism have become law and are called Hindu Marriage Act. So the way the marriage performed in Hindu religion has created as law. So there is a role of religion in making law. Same is the case of Muslim law, same is the case with Christian law. So definitely religion is actually somehow surrounding the laws. Then we talk about customs. There are customs that we are actually following. If there is such a custom which is unique and which is moral as well. I'm not saying that immoral customs can be converted in laws, because if we talk about Sati Pratha, it was a custom and it was an antique one. So it was not right. It was immoral. That's why it cannot be taken up as a law. It has been abolished. So whatever is infringing the rights of a person, whatever custom it may be, it must not be taken up as a law. So the customs which are valuable, which are having moral force behind them, can be created as laws. There are questions coming, the students are going other way. They are talking about, ma'am, if law will not be there, then there will be no definition of crime also. Yes, Vinayak, you are right. Rhea is saying the reason that we do not have a uniform civil code is because we are a diverse nation, as we have different religion, languages, etc. Yes, but this is what I am talking about. You are right. Then another source of law is judicial decisions. Judicial decisions, as one of the students has quoted a British president. Precedents are called judicial decisions. So definitely there are many judicial decisions which are helping us to create laws. And then comes equity and legislation. Equity is something which is based on fairness, justness. So whatever is good and fair, and that is just, that is equity. And the laws are definitely based on equity, principles of equity. Then comes legislation. As we all know that legislature is bound to create laws. The statutes are called legislation, and it is the most modern way of laws. So legislature creates the laws. The fresh laws are created by the legislature. So taking up with the customs, customs are the oldest source of law. It is the outcome of habits. As I have told you earlier as well, that the custom is something which is antique and it becomes law if it is not immoral and if it is not wrong, if it is not infringing the rights of the people. When a particular habit is followed for a long time by the people regularly and habitually, the custom comes into being. Now, religion, we have discussed religion itself earlier as well. The religion is another important source of law. It played an important role in the primitive period when men were very much religious minded, and in absence of written laws, the primitive people obeyed religion, thinking of its divine origin. Again, we have discussed judicial decisions as well. We have discussed equity too. And definitely we have talked about legislation as well, and I have been providing a slide talking about how the legislation is being formed, and I'll be sharing this PowerPoint slide with the people, you people, and you'll be able to see all the things, how the bill is being introduced in the parliament, in one house, and how it goes to another house, and how does it become a bill, and how it gets rejected, etc. It has been provided in this slide. You'll be able to see when I'll be sharing this to you. And I want to tell about Indian judiciary system as well, because we are actually going to take this up as well in further. In your first semester, you are going to study legal method, and somehow I'm providing the gist of that particular thing, that Indian judiciary system actually holds three tier. It is somehow three tier. The foremost, the apex one is Supreme Court. Everybody is aware that Supreme Court is something which, such a court which is only one. That is why we call it the Honorable Supreme Court of India. And then we are having other courts. It is like having state-wise thing, because we are following a dual procedure in Indian legal system, that there is a union level, that is central level, and there are states then. So there is central government, there are state governments. So in that line only, we are going towards high courts. So Supreme Court is only one which is on central level and which is taking up all the appeals, appellate jurisdiction, and somehow some original jurisdiction in itself. And High Court is somehow below the Supreme Court, and then there are subordinate courts or lower district courts, etc. So in that part, there are again further division. If we talk about the nature of the matters they are taking, there are civil courts, there are criminal courts, and there are revenue courts as well. So civil courts further are divided into district judge courts, sub-judge like family court, munsif, and small cause courts, etc. And then criminal courts have district judges and district and session judges. Then on another level, there are metropolitan original, or first class magistrate, second class magistrate, and third class magistrate. And then we are having revenue courts, the Board of Revenue, Commissioner, Collector, Tehsildar, Assistant Tehsildar. So this is the way the Indian judicial system has been created. So we are aware that there is Supreme Court at the apex level, and you're going to study that what are the constitution benches and how the Supreme Court works, what is the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. The Constitution of India is actually providing us with all the powers of the Supreme Court, how it can take up an appeal, how it can take up an original jurisdiction, how it takes up a special leave petition, and how the appellate jurisdiction of Supreme Court works, and what kind of benches a Supreme Court can hold, and how the decision of the Supreme Court is final and binding in nature to all the parties to the dispute. Right? And Supreme Court takes many matters which are of constitutional in nature, and definitely it is situated in Delhi, and it is being presided by Chief Justice of India. So it is actually the final court of permissible appeal. Right? So you will be taking up all this in the constitutional law itself. Then definitely the subordinate court is higher court, high court, and you must be aware that every state is having their own high court. And high court has definitely appellate jurisdiction as well, original jurisdiction as well, writ jurisdiction as well. Then the subordinate courts are on more lower level, as we have discussed earlier, that we are having civil and criminal courts, there are revenue tribunals, etc. So there is a legal procedure mentioned herein. What happens, it is not so easy to define in one lecture, to make you understand in one lecture. Isha, you are raising a question which is not answerable on this platform. You will be sent the information through mail. So what is the process? For example, if a person has been charged with violation, okay, and that person obviously has been taken up to the court. Now there will be two situations, that either that person will plead guilty. If he pleads guilty, then there will be potential penalties, like if he may be imposed fine or jail, fine. And if he doesn't plead guilty, there will be a trial and there will be pre-bargaining. And if there may be if it happens like there is pre-bargaining, there may be potential penalties like fine or jail. Then again, if there will be judge or jury trial, then definitely they will be found guilty or not found guilty. And again, if in case he found guilty, if he is not found guilty, definitely he'll go home. And if he is found guilty, then he'll go to jail, or he has to pay fine according to the facts and circumstances of the case and the nature of the offense committed by that person. Now we are going to talk about civil law. Everyone is aware about the civil law. Civil law is a branch of law dealing with disputes between individuals or organizations in which compensation may be awarded to the victim. Now, civil law is actually basically related to, it is the law between you and me. Like, if, for example, there is something you were supposed to do and you did not do, and you were supposed to do legally and you did not do, I'm the victim, and definitely I can go and sue you in the court. So I can get my rights from you, or I can get my rights imposed from you. So there are two parties in the civil law, that one is plaintiff, whose rights has been infringed, who has been treated unfairly, and defendant is second party, who actually is responsible for treating him unfairly. Fine. So these are the two parties. Then comes criminal law. Criminal law is concerned with offenses against society, generally like murder and assault. As we have discussed, criminal law is related to society, because whenever any person commits any sort of crime, that means he is not only committing the crime against that particular person, but against the society. So that person becomes a threat to the society, and it is the duty of the court to decide upon that matter and take it as a matter of the state itself, because it is the crime is always against the society. So there are two parties to criminal law: defendant, the person against whom it has been, the person who is an accused is the defendant or is the defense, and prosecutor is the government itself, because it is coming from the government itself. So there are differences between the two. When we talk about criminal actions, the criminal actions are brought out by the government, and civil actions are by private citizens. Government is known as the prosecutor in case of criminal actions, and in civil actions, person bringing action is known as the plaintiff. Now, the prosecutor has the burden of proof. I hope you understand the burden of proof. Whoever is asserting any statement in the court of law, that person has the burden to prove, fine, that he is actually right. Then, in case of civil action, the burden of proof lies on the preponderance of evidence. Then comes defendant loses if found guilty in criminal action, and in civil action, defendant loses if found liable. So because guilty, in case of being found guilty, one person has to bear the punishment, that may be imprisonment or fine or both. And in case of civil action, definitely the penalty that is going on is money or damages. Everybody is aware of constitutional law, and as I have told you earlier, that constitutional law is the supreme law of land, and every other law is actually being taken care of. Constitutional law, every other law must not be violative of the constitutional provisions. Fine, like corrective principles and fundamental rights, fundamental duties, all are there in constitutional law. Then comes the administrative law. There are various branches of law, and I am unable to cover them in this one lecture itself. So for that matter, you need to understand all the laws during the upcoming years, because we'll be taking up all the laws I'm talking about right now, and I'm just going to introduce these laws to you. So there is also administrative law. There has been a dramatic increase in the activities of government during the last 100 years. Schemes have been introduced to help ensure the minimum standard of living of everybody. Government agencies are involved, for example, in provision of a state retirement pension, income support, and child benefit. So a large number of disputes arise from administration of these schemes, and a body of law, administrative law, has developed to deal with the complaints of individuals against the decisions of administrating agency. So administrative, as the name itself suggests, the administrative law is something which is holding the dispute or the problems related to administration itself. Then there comes property laws. Everybody knows that we obviously we are surrounded by n number of laws, and property law is somehow related to property itself, and property may be movable and immovable, and they are also called personal property and real property. We talk about personal property. Personal property is a movable property, which is not land. For example, your mobile is your movable property, and there may be patents, there may be copyrights, money, anything that is the thing which you can take from one place to another is a movable property, and it is called personal property as well. And there is also real property. Real property is called land itself, and something which is fixed to the land, which cannot be moved. That is why we call real property an immovable property. So that property cannot be moved. That's why we are calling it movable property. So the rules governing, holding, or helping in resolving the disputes related to property are infringed in property law itself. Then comes the contract law. Everybody knows, as the term suggests, contract, that means it is an agreement between two people. The contract is legally enforceable, promise or set of promises made by one party to another. The elements of contract are offer and acceptance by competent persons having legal capacity to exchange consideration or to create mutually of obligation. Now, contract law includes not allowed to break a contract, marriage, fishing licenses, misleading advertisements. Now, there are examples you can read on the screen that, for example, A invites B for dinner in restaurant. B accepts the invitation. On the appointed day, B goes to the restaurant. To his utter surprise, A is not there. Or A is there but refuses to entertain B. B has no remedy against A. In case A is present in the restaurant but B fails to turn up, then A has no remedy against B, because there was no contract between them. It was just their normal routine chat that, okay, we are going to meet in a restaurant. That's all. There was nothing called contract. There was no agreement between them. There was no consideration. There was nothing like a contract. That is why the contract law is not applicable, and A or B cannot get any sort of remedy against each other. And there is another example. For example, A agrees to sell his motor bicycle to B for rupees 5,000. The agreement gives rise to a legal obligation on the part of A to deliver the motor bicycle to B. Now you'll see that there is actually a consideration which has been mentioned over here, that in place of bike, you are going to pay me rupees 5,000. And if that person who is supposed to pay rupees 5,000 did not pay or does not pay rupees 5,000 after receiving the delivery of the bike, that person has actually infringed the contract. And the other person who was liable to take, who was actually having the contract with them, and he wanted to perform, and against whom that must be, what other things are going on here, that you are asking about intangible properties. So somebody has already responded it. Samiti, I hope you have got your response. So here we were talking about that person who has not been given 5,000 rupees in place of motor bicycle, which has been already delivered by him. Definitely there was a contract between them, because that was definitely a contract, because there was a consideration of rupees 5,000. You cannot take somebody's bike like that only. You will have to pay the amount on which you people have agreed upon. So there was existence of a contract as well. Then comes family law. Family law is somehow very interesting. You will find it interesting as well. Family law is relating to the relationships within the family. They may be, the relationships are always three kinds of. Firstly, the relationship made from birth, that is blood relationship. Then they are from marriage, and relationships are also from adoption. These are only the three ways how the relationships form. And definitely there are, if we talk about the blood relationship, then usually the rights which are coming into being are property rights, and definitely there are succession acts, how the property of a person is divided among his heirs. And then secondly, if we talk about relationship related to marriage, so in case of relationship related to marriage, there are divorce laws, etc., marriage disputes, etc. And then, yes, is divorce cases included in family law? Yes, of course, they are definitely there. And then comes lastly the adoption. So there is Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act as well. So these even family law has further branches too. Then comes employment law, because definitely there is employment in the nation as well. So definitely there is a relationship. We are talking about labor law. So it mediates the relationship between workers and employers, trade unions and government. So employment includes reason for firing someone, fair duties as an employer, equal opportunities, not to work over 40 hours in any week, wrongful dismissal, age discrimination, etc. Then comes the tort law, and every student is aware of tort law. This is a kind of civil wrong which the law provides a remedy, and it has no statute as such to provide us the rules which regulates the rules relating to tort law, but we are following common law principles for the tort laws. There are intentional torts, there are defamation, negligence, and an intensive form of these torts also becomes a crime as well. Then comes tax, that everybody knows that we are bound to pay taxes to the government to generate revenue. And the Constitution of India actually allocates the power to levy various taxes between the center and the states, and tax laws are actually holding those taxes. There are different types of taxes like income tax, corporation tax, property tax, custom duty, central excise duty, sales tax, etc. Then obviously there is one state and there are another states. If we talk about states within the nation, I'm not talking about the states within the nation, I'm talking about states within the world. When we see it on the globe, India is a state. India is a state for that matter, and the relations between different states or nation is governed by a law that is called international law, and it has its own parts. One is public international law, which is body of legal rules governing interaction between sovereign states. Then there comes the private international law, the rights and duties of citizens of sovereign states towards citizens of their sovereign state. So basically, international law is somehow getting out of the ambit of the law which is being regulated in India. Then comes industrial law, which is related to industries. Industries like aerospace, defense, agricultural, automotive, every industry's related law is called industrial law. And that is all about it. And there are some questions. Ma'am, are riparian rights and fishing rights similar? Do they lie under the same category? So the students actually want to know everything today itself. Samriti is asking, is divorce cases include in family law? What's fishing licenses? Okay, first of all, I want to know if you could understand something from the lecture. What is the conclusion of this lecture? How could you understand what I wanted to tell you? I'm waiting for the students to write. Okay, Isha has understood everything. Was the lecture interesting? Siddharth is telling us the State Marine Fishing Regulations Act. about the fundamentals of right, Guneet? So everybody, okay, various types of law and their implementation towards society. Thank you so much, Rupanshi, that you have got a new perspective about the word law. So whenever we are going to meet, so I'll be asking you what perspective you have got. Kanika, you're right. Shivu, this question cannot be answered here. Sure. So there was a student who wanted to enter the room. I think it was Radhika. Radhika, I'm letting you enter the room. You're most welcome, Muskan. How vast the law is and how it can be defined in one page, and about the subdivisions of law where it has been taken up. Okay, phrase. Okay. I'm happy that you understood what is law. Now you will be able to understand next lectures you are going to attend. I think Radhika is not able to enter the room. Okay, fine. I'm thankful to everyone for joining this session. Okay, Samriti wants to join. Samriti, you can just request to speak. You just request to speak so that I can let you enter. And after that, you can take up the test the software is asking you to do. Thank you, Sakshi. Even I enjoyed your company. Okay, the people who are not able to join, Ritik wants to join. Okay, I'm letting Ritik enter. Thank you, Ayushi. Thank you, Kanika. Sankalp wants to know something about the blind lady, Athena, the symbol of justice. We are going to have a huge lecture on that, for sure. Siddharth, thank you, ma'am. Very faithful and knowledgeable lecture. Thank you so much, Siddharth. The students are trying to enter the room, but I don't know why they are unable to enter the room. I'm waiting for 2 or 3 students. If they'll be able to enter, then they can come and interact up. Otherwise, we'll be ending the session. I'll be waiting for them for a minute. But to let the COVID situation be handled, then only we can tell you when there is a chance to have physical classes. Thank you, Tina. Okay, no problem. If students are not able to enter, they may enter in tomorrow's session. Thank you so much for joining us. Rhea is there, who has joined the room. I hope she'll be visible soon. Yes, she's there. Rhea, please turn on your camera.
Ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. You need to turn on your camera so that we can see you. Samriti, you may share. Rhea, can you see two dots on the top of your screen? One is
Yes,
for
ma'am.
audio and another is for video. The first one is for video. Just click that one and you will be able to see.
I'm clicking on that, but
Okay, fine, no problem. You may introduce yourself, Rhea.
good afternoon and hello everyone. My name is Ria Paul and I cleared my 12th from Cambridge School Srinivaspuri and I have applied for BBA LLB in Geeta Ratan College and I chose this subject because I have already invested 2 years of 11th and 12th in commerce stream. So I wanted to pursue my career in BBA also about the management courses. And also that now India is a rising platform for all the corporates, new corporates that are coming up. So I just wanted to get in that field and make opportunities for myself so that I can, be able to help the people out there. So that is why I chose BBA LLB.
Very good. Rhea, we wish you luck. Thank you so much. Hope you will be enjoying the 5 years with us.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for
Sure. Thank you so
joining.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that is all for the session. We'll be meeting tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.